PCs have had a very dynamic history since their first appearance on the market, and we would say unusual compared to other categories of mobile devices. Originally conceived as the same thing, only a little bigger after the success of smartphones, they initially experienced enormous popularity, so at one point we had the impression that everyone around us had a tablet, even the cheapest 8-inch ones that literally flooded the stores at the time. However, as technology progressed and the screen diagonal of mobile phones became larger, tablets have, well, perhaps not fallen into oblivion, but certainly waned significantly in popularity. What remained were mostly Apple iPad models, which, like many Apple products, are often not subject to the same market laws, while in the Android world the focus seemed to have remained primarily on the high and upper middle class. The reason for this is simple, because only such devices could offer something that mobile phones cannot, at least until foldable models like Galaxy Fold become mainstream. Those who buy tablets these days expect excellent performance, at least on par with what we are used to on phones, a large screen, but also a battery life that exceeds what the average ultralight laptops offer. This seems to be the minimum that will convince a customer to buy a tablet, and the bonus is usually some additional features and optimizations that can make its use more practical and a more adequate replacement for a laptop. Only a few companies have the resources to do this the right way, among which is of course Samsung, which is present in this segment of the market with its Galaxy Tab models. As we are used to from their mobile phones, the tablets are divided into two series, the Galaxy Tab A, which is a more affordable option, and Galaxy Tab S, which represents the premium segment, with its standard Plus and Ultra variants, just like the phones. Interestingly, when Samsung created its first phone with the FE suffix a couple of years ago, the so-called Fan Edition, which represented the premium S series but in a slightly more affordable edition, tablets also got the same treatment, so we had the Galaxy Tab S7 FE. The S8 tablets, as well as the Galaxy S22 phones, were skipped when it came to the FE edition, and then this year we got the S23 FE and Galaxy Tab S9 FE. Actually, this tablet comes in two versions, the standard one with 10.9-inch screen and Galaxy Tab S9 FE Plus with a diagonal of 12.4 inches. This larger version, which actually makes more sense, was the one we got to test this time, so let's see what this tablet has to offer to potential customers. This larger version, which actually makes more sense, was the one we got to test this time, so let's see what this tablet has to offer to potential users. As far as design and build quality are concerned, the Galaxy Tab S9 FE is undoubtedly a premium device, and this is noticeable from the first contact. The thin aluminum frame, aluminum back, flat edges, and extremely beautiful matte surface make the tablet really leave a great impression, like what we are used to from the highest class phones. Admittedly, given the significantly larger diagonal compared to phones and more space to accommodate the battery and electronics, the tablet is only 6.5mm thin, significantly thinner than most of today's phones. I don't know about you, but looking at this profile and overall design, I think a future Galaxy phone in this style would be practically the ideal mobile phone in terms of look and feel in the hand. Tell us how it looks from your perspective in the comments. The Galaxy Tab S9 FE Plus is available in 4 colors: white, pink, mint green, and this graphite gray you see in this video, which is probably the most elegant of all available. While the design is essentially clean and simple, credit must be given to the way Samsung has incorporated the lines of 5G and Wi-Fi Bluetooth antennas, which are arranged along the shorter sides and give the tablet a more interesting look. In addition to them, on the back there are also Samsung and Sound by AKG logos, as well as openings for 2 cameras that are placed in separate frames and protrude from the surface of the device. Fortunately, the lenses are slightly recessed so that they stay protected when you put the tablet on the hard surface. As for the elements around the frame of the device, first of all, on the bottom side there is a connector and attachment points for a book cover accessory, which is a protective case with a keyboard. On the right side is the USB Type-C connector for charging, while on the top there are the volume control buttons as well as the unlock button, which also houses the fingerprint sensor. It seems to be the most convenient for unlocking with the index finger in all holding positions. It's fairly fast, and although it is enough just to rest your finger on it, we got the impression that it is definitely better to press the button when you want to unlock the device. As this button is flat and barely protrudes above the case, it is not very easy to find it by touch, so maybe it's a shame that it's not a little more protruding, or that the sensor is not inside the screen, which would be more practical. Unlocking the device is also possible by facial recognition, although in portrait mode you should take care not to cover the camera that is on the margin around the screen while holding the device, as well as move the tablet away from you a little so that you are in the frame. In addition to the buttons, there is also a combined slot for microSD and SIM cards on the same side, since it is the 5G version instead of the standard Wi-Fi. In addition to the physical card, eSIM is also supported, which allows for dual SIM mode of operation. On the top edge there are also two openings for microphones and an additional one located on the left side to cover the use in portrait mode. On the left and right sides there are also openings for stereo speakers, and the sound that the tablet produces is very good and has a solid natural balance. As expected, low frequencies are a bit subdued, they only extend to around 75 Hz, and below 120 Hz the frequency curve drops sharply, but at least there is enough upper bass to keep some punch and so that the sound doesn't appear thin. The sound quality is good up to 3 steps from the maximum volume, above which the quality is sacrificed for the sake of loudness. However, even at that setting the volume is decent for usual tasks, listening to music in a smaller room or ambient music. The front of the device is of course covered by a screen. Samsung does not specify the type of protective glass used, although the tablet is IP68 certified for water and dust resistance. Theoretically, it can spend 30 minutes underwater at a depth of 1.5 meters, while in practice this is more useful if you are reading something outside and it starts to rain, for example, so you don't have to worry about the device getting wet. Behind the protective glass is a screen with a diagonal of 12.4 inches, but we believe many will be disappointed to hear that it is IPS and not AMOLED that we see on the rest of the S-series tablets. The specifications do not reveal the exact type of panel and backlight, but we have to admit that the display is so good that at first glance we wouldn't even say it's not AMOLED. It is very likely that this is a combination of the quantum dot augmented IPS panel due to the very vivid display of colors, as well as the mini LED backlight, which in such a thin case would provide excellent uniformity and maximum brightness that we measured at 645.6 nits. It can be raised further in high brightness mode when you're outside and offers very fair visibility in daylight. We also checked the color accuracy, which in natural mode showed the delta E deviation of quite decent 3.5. Even though we prefer the AMOLED, we must admit that in this case we do not miss it much, at least in terms of image quality. Battery impact is probably a bigger issue, but we'll get to that. The refresh rate of the panel is 90 Hz, so slightly more than the standard 60, which provides a slightly smoother scrolling through content and also a slightly smoother display in some games. The screen resolution is 1600 by 2560 pixels, which is optimal for this screen size and provides a clear and sharp display of even small text without noticeable pixelation. So it is a 16 by 10 ratio that was chosen as a small compromise so that the tablet would be equally convenient for watching videos, reading and internet content. Speaking of the internet, if you use Google Chrome, the screen is very comfortable if you activate the option to display the desktop and not the mobile version of the pages, because this tablet is the size similar to a smaller laptop screen. As for apps, some will be more suited to the big screen than others, so the experience will vary from feeling like you're using a huge phone to being able to see more information and a nicer layout of features than on a phone screen. Here we get to some optimizations and functions implemented by Samsung in order to improve the experience. For example, it is possible to divide the screen into several parts and use several applications at the same time, where if you use two in parallel, each will have more than 1.5 times more surface area than the current phones with larger screen format. What we really liked was the interface itself, which is adapted for use on a device of this size. So for example, 3 Android navigation soft keys were moved all the way to the right great for easy access when holding the tablet with two hands. The space at the bottom of the screen is used for the taskbar like desktop operating systems, so the application menu will be on the far left like the start menu, and in the middle there will be shortcuts for 4 fixed applications and up to 4 icons of recently used applications. This is very practical in use because what you need most often will be always at hand, and it offers the possibility of easily dragging an applications from the taskbar to split the screen, and it even remembers if you often use 2 applications side by side so that you can recall them in that configuration. Of course, there are also numerous widgets with which it is possible to additionally adjust the appearance and functionality of the main screen. We also liked that in the settings menu, the main category and the sub-options are arranged into 2 columns that can be scrolled independently, so it's very easy to find and change whatever you want. You also get the Samsung DeX mode that further changes the whole experience when it resembles a classic desktop system with undocked windows. It is more intended to be used with an additional keyboard and a mouse, although we can say that with the aforementioned user interface changes, the standard mode is so practical that DeX is not even necessary. In any case, users will have a choice to use whatever is more convenient to them. Speaking of DeX, we were a little disappointed by the fact that USB port does not support Alt-DP mode, so it is not possible to connect the tablet to the monitor via a Type-C cable and get an image on the big screen. It's a shame because we were really hoping for a mode where the tablet would become a keyboard and monitor would display DeX mode. On the other hand, the device offers various things like displaying the tablet screen on the TV screen, or vice versa, TV content on the tablet screen, as well as using the tablet as an additional screen, but unfortunately only if you have a Galaxy Book laptop. As for the things that work only in combination with Samsung devices, an ecosystem if you like, there is also the option called Continue Apps on Other Devices that works with Samsung Notes and Samsung Internet applications. Speaking of notes, the tablet also comes with the S Pen, which we've already seen on other Samsung devices, and the Tab S series, which provides a convenient way to write and draw on the screen, as well as additional features like gesture commands. All this improves the user experience on a screen of this size, and for a certain type of user, such as designers, for example, this will also be a great tool. Powering all the functions that the Galaxy Tab S9 FE Plus provides is of course Android 13 with One UI 5.1.1, and as far as the hardware is concerned, it is the Exynos 1380 that we have, for example, also seen on the Galaxy A54 phone, paired with 8GB of RAM and 128GB of storage space. As far as performance is concerned, it is very good in all aspects, including demanding 3D games, so despite the identical specifications compared to the mentioned A54, it is possible that the larger format and better cooling actually allow for a few % better performance in use. What we were very interested in was the battery life, as the Galaxy Tab S9 FE Plus is equipped with a lithium polymer battery with a capacity of 10,090 mAh, 25% larger than the model without the plus mark. In our YouTube playback test with 50% screen brightness, the tablet remained at 14% battery after 10 hours, which is not incredible but not a bad result either, and promises that you can spend a full shift at work or almost a whole day with the screen constantly on. One disadvantage is charging, which is supported up to 45 watts with Quick Charge 2.0, takes a very long time, so it may take about 4 hours to get from few percent to full capacity, which is quite a long time. We tested this with a powerful charger by another manufacturer, since Samsung does not include the charger in the package. Some users report that Samsung's chargers are faster even if rated at lower wattage, so keep that in mind if you buy Tab S9 FE. Let's not forget that the tablet also has cameras, so although most users will probably prefer to use their phone for photography, we checked how capable the Galaxy Tab S9 FE Plus actually is in this regard. On the back there are two 8-megapixel sensors, wide and ultra-wide, while on the front there is a 12-megapixel camera intended primarily for video communication. Although the cameras on the back have lower resolution, the results they achieve in daily conditions are actually very good and remind us of what we are used to from Samsung phones, of course with a little less detail. The lack of detail is compensated by subsequent sharpening, so the photos seem more detailed than they really are, which becomes obvious already at low zoom. The color reproduction, dynamic range, and general appearance of the photos are at a very good level, and it is interesting that often the ultra-wide camera actually leaves a better impression than the main one. The camera app also offers 2x magnification, but it is achieved by cropping the main sensor, which, as expected, does not give great results at 8 megapixels. In night conditions, Samsung's excellent processing does a very good job despite the limitations of the sensor, though a certain level of noise is noticeable in the photos. In this case, the main camera, which has a slightly larger aperture, does better, but both cameras are decent and usable. As for video recording, it is limited to 1080p resolution, although the chipset, as we saw with the Galaxy A54, is capable of 4K. The reason lies in the resolution of the sensor, which is not sufficient for 4K. The video quality is okay with decent stabilization on the main camera, though the ultra-wide is not the same and the stabilization has some strange artifacts where entire parts of the scene move, which makes the shots unusable unless you synchronize the shakes with music and upload them to TikTok. Night video recording is problematic, especially on the ultra-wide camera and the main one if you're not shooting still, so don't expect much quality. As for the front camera, it is alright, and although details are not abundant, the photos are solid with good color reproduction. At night and in low light conditions, the noise level increases, although we can say that the results are still quite usable. Selfie video recording, which is also limited to 1080p, is very decent during the day and barely usable at night. All in all, the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 FE Plus is a tablet PC that should cover the market segment between the thoroughbred Tab S9 models and the cheaper A9 series, offering a bit of features of both. Its strong points are a large and very good screen, even if it's not AMOLED, the S Pen solid sound and performance, but perhaps most of all the outstanding workmanship and design, as well as the software that Samsung has tweaked to raise the user experience to a higher level than usual. We do have a couple of complaints, mainly the inability to connect to an external USB-C monitors, which would greatly improve usability, as well as the limitation of video recording to Full HD, which could have been avoided at least on the front camera. In any case, we trust that after this review of ours, it will be clearer to potential buyers whether the Galaxy Tab S9 FE Plus suits their needs. If you like what this tablet offers, its price is around €620 for the Wi-Fi version, or about 100 more for the LTE variant. Looking at the prices of the Tab S9 Plus and A9 Plus, this is practically right in the middle. Let us know in the comments below this video which of these three makes the most sense for your needs. That will be all for this video. If you enjoyed it, please click a like and subscribe for more tech content. My name is Ivan and I'll see you next time.